Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you'll get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to join in on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays on my live streams, or outside of my live streams, you can consider joining the Discord I created, and there is a link for that down in the description below. There's also a link down below to a Pinterest board. We created that as a way to share some of our family's favorite whole food, plant-based meals. I get asked a lot of times what I eat, and that is the best place to go to see some of those different things that we enjoy. Today is day 607 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based diet to lose over 210 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If anybody wants to share their weight loss success, I'd love to hear your successes. If you're struggling, maybe share what you're struggling with and see if we can help you. If you're getting ready to get started on a diet, what are some of the things you're going to do to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Couple people checking in here. Our Tiny Acres says hugs, beautiful people. Hugs back to Our Tiny Acres. Carrie says hello. I hope everybody had a great evening since yesterday and a wonderful day today. The weather was very good here, and I got to be outside for a couple hours cutting grass, so I got to enjoy some of the sunshine since yesterday. So after I got done with the live stream last night, I ended up doing an interview with Chef AJ's private group of people that they do a weekly Zoom meeting, I guess. And I was on that show and I answered a lot of questions and a lot of things got brought up. And it was really awesome to talk to those people and answer their questions. Elizabeth says, hi from South Wales, England. Well, thanks for checking out the stream today. I hope you're doing wonderful over there in South Wales, England. It was really great to be on that program with her and answering those questions. Really was disappointed I couldn't get on there and say I'd lost a bunch of weight since I was last on her show, which was almost 2 months ago now. I've kind of hung around the same weight, but I am kind of recommitted to the whole food plant-based. Not recommitted, I'm continuing to be committed to it, and I'm making some tweaks in my diet recently to try to lower the calorie density. I brought that up a lot, that I was focusing on calorie density, or I was doing things to try to reduce the calorie density, like I've talked about on here, getting rid of the nut butters. A couple months ago, I got rid of the juice, getting rid of the Ezekiel bread, the sourdough bread, and eating more starches, more potatoes, more rice, things like that. Let me see if I can get my phone connected here, and I will go over some of the food that I ate last night. So I got home and it was really late by the time I even got home yesterday. I don't think I left the office here till after 7 o'clock, because that interview didn't happen till 6 p.m. because I was confused about how time works and thought the meeting was going to be earlier in the day. So I ended up eating really late in the day yesterday, and I was really exhausted. I got home and just got hit with this wave of exhaustion that I really don't know that I felt in a while. And so I started my dinner. I actually didn't eat all of the plate of food here I'm going to show, and then I laid down for like 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of relax, and then I started to feel better and went back up and kind of ate some more food here. So let me pull up the food. So the first thing that I had yesterday was some rice and beans with a mango salsa and some chopped spinach on it. And this was really awesome. Something that me and Carrie talk about is how much we enjoy mango, and how mangoes were not even on our radar as a fruit before I started this diet, and now I've learned that mangoes around the world are one of the most popular fruits there is. Christy M says hi there. Hi Christy, I hope you had a great evening. And so this was really good, and it was very light. It felt light, I guess, and fresh, like having that sweet mango. I could really taste the mango, and maybe it was that this bag was better than other bags of mango have been, but this was kind of my dinner when I first got home. And then Christy says that she loves mangoes in her salads. It's such a pop of flavor. It really is, and it's surprising. The other thing that surprised me about the salad was the spinach. A lot of times when we have spinach in our meals, it's cooked spinach, and it really doesn't have any flavor or texture. But I really noticed it in the meal last night, that I could taste the spinach and I could taste the mango, and just overall it was a nice meal to have. Elizabeth says it looks delicious. You must try fruit with savory. Yeah, it really is good. I'm not sure. I think that the mango recipe that Carrie has been using, she got from the mango salsa recipe. She's been using the Dr. Will Bulsiewicz fiber-fueled cookbook, I believe, is where she got kind of the recipe that she uses that, or she got that from. So, like I said, I laid down for a little bit, got a little bit of energy back in me. I'm sure eating the food kind of helped that too. I had to let it digest and get some energy from it. And then I went back up for the rest of the food I was going to eat last night, because it was a good 12 plus hours between breakfast and dinner, because I didn't eat till almost 8 o'clock, and I left the house early yesterday. So it was a long day without any eating for me, or longer than normal for me. Then I just took some rice, and this is something I did the other day with potato. There is a bed of brown rice, and then there is like a sweet mustard dressing that Carrie makes using this garlic mustard that we get from Primo's. There's dates in this, apple cider vinegar, and some water, and some tahini to make the mustard dressing. And then I took a scoop of the Primo's garlic habanero spread, and I mixed it in with it to kind of give it a spice. Really enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it without the spicy mustard, but I do enjoy having that real spiciness from that habanero. Carrie says that the salad here, or not the salad, but the rice here with the mango is so good. The recipe doesn't include anything but what you can see, just the mango, red onion, jalapeno, and red bell pepper. It is perfect. Yes, it was very good. And then I had the rice, and then after I had dinner last night, I had a little bit of dessert. And this is, I guess, what we call banana nice cream. It was just bananas with some soy milk, and then we had some fresh strawberries that we mixed into it to give it a little bit of flavor, and that was also very good, and I ate that last night. I didn't take a photo of it, but I did eat a little bit more than what I've got photoed here. I also had the leftover of the rosemary and bake sweet potato casserole, I guess, that sweet potatoes and rice that we had for dinner 2 nights ago. So that was kind of the extent of my meals since yesterday. Like I said, I was decently busy at work today. We have a big event coming up at the end of the month that I was trying to get some the logistics planned out for that, and it takes up most of my July to get ready for this event that's the last week of July. So, and if you guys are following along, I won't be live for pretty much the whole last half, or especially the last week of July, but I will try to do some updates, maybe post some things on the community page and post to the Discord throughout that week that I'm gone. But it's really just that last full week in July. And then after I got some of that office work done, I decided that I needed to go and cut some grass. So you can kind of see it in my hair. I have grass all over my body and all over my hair from doing some grass cutting. I did really notice, being out in the sun. I really liked being out in the sun, getting that vitamin D. I feel like sometimes I end up being in the office quite a bit, and this week I've had a pretty good opportunity to be out in the sun, and with the camping trip we did this past weekend, and then the just what's been keeping me busy with work and at home. So it was nice to be out in the nice weather. It's not ridiculously hot right now, which is great, and really made it easy to get that work done. I'm trying to think. There were so many different topics that we went back and forth on, or we went over yesterday, and I know there were some things that I thought would be good to talk about today. But if anybody has any questions, let me know if you have any questions. There's a lot of things that I could talk about. I guess just with the food that I've been eating for the past few days, with eating the more starch-based foods, and something that Chef AJ mentioned during the interview last night was about how much more filling eating some of these vegetables are than you realize. And I definitely noticed that, especially with the broccoli I had the other day. It was a lot of volume for very little calories. And when I eat the other, a lot of the other things that seem to be high calorie, like the nut butters, I end up eating a large volume of that food. But then because I'm eating such a large volume of that food, I end up eating such a large calorie amount. And something that came up was how we are all genetically different in how our body is going to process foods. And we could all be locked up at the same place and be fed the same diet, and some of us will gain weight or lose weight slower than other people will while eating the same food, because we're not all the same. But what it kind of also brings to light is, because that we all are that way, then there's going to be essentially a bell curve of people that lose weight slow, and then people there's going to be a bunch of people that lose weight at about the same rate, and then there's going to be people that lose weight faster than other people. And when you and so depending on where you are in that bell curve, you have to be patient about how things, how fast you lose the weight. But it also kind of, when you're somebody who is overweight, especially as overweight as I got, and I got up to 500 pounds, then that really means that my body is pretty good at storing fat and adding weight on. And I feel like it's also pretty good at using the fat and spending the energy. But I really feel like it's there's such a fine line that we have to toe when we're trying to lose weight, because my body is so good at taking energy from the food that I eat and storing it as fat. Then it might be more difficult for me to lose weight because, like I said, my body's so good at storing the fat, and the diet that I'm eating, this whole food plant-based diet, is really a large volume diet where I get to eat a large volume of food. But when I have that calorie density higher than what I should be eating it at, then it really puts me even if it just puts me barely over that amount of energy that I spend in a day, that I won't lose weight for that day, because because there's a surplus. And it's really a fine line that I end up towing here between a surplus and a deficit, because if the total daily energy expenditure is 3,000 calories and I eat and my body's able to absorb 3,100 calories because my body's good at absorbing, or if I put in enough calories and my body ends up absorbing 3,100 calories, then I have a 100 calorie surplus and I won't have any weight loss. But if I just reduce the calories per pound by 50 calories a pound, if I'm eating 4 pounds of food, and that changes me from having a 3,100 calorie, 100 calorie surplus to a 2,900 calorie, 100 calorie deficit. And I feel like I have always struggled because many of the diets I've done in the past is where you set up and you guarantee that you're going to have a deficit. You eat 1,500 calories and you cut yourself off for the day, and you eating that restrictive diet. And so I always was forcing myself into a deficit, and I would know I would have a deficit, but over time eating that way tends to lead to binge eating. And then when you have that binge, you fall apart and you don't get back on track. You flip the chessboard over because you failed. And this diet is much different because I'm trying to eat a lot of calories. Like, I don't want to be at 1,000 calorie a day deficit, because I know what that leads to, and it's led to a lot of failures in the past. What I want to be at is like 100 or a 200 calorie deficit, and that's a tough line to hold, because something as simple as having nut butter or avocado or these things can easily put you over that line. Or juices is another example of something that I've had that definitely puts me over that calorie deficit versus calorie surplus line. And so it's been interesting, eating this way because I'm so much more satisfied on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I showed you all of the food that I've eaten since yesterday, and I guess I didn't take a photo of the oatmeal this morning. So I didn't take a photo of all the food I had since yesterday, but I've showed you most of the food that I've eaten since yesterday. And I got on the scale today, and I was over a pound lighter than I was yesterday, probably over 1.5 pounds lighter than I was yesterday, even after eating a huge volume of food. And it's great to see those losses on a scale after eating, because in the past my mindset would have been the only way that I would see a pound loss is if I didn't eat or I ate less food, and it's not necessarily the case, and just realizing that if you are somebody who puts weight on fast, which I'm sure is a lot of people that are watching this or that are worried about their weight, that what you eat matters. And if you want to eat a diet that is satisfying because of the volume that you get to eat, then this is absolutely the way I think you should eat. I always felt like there was something wrong with me because I would make myself so full when I was eating. Like I felt like that it was a disadvantage that I had this drive to eat so much food. And in the world of excess that we live in, it is a downside, either deficit. I'm not sure what word, but I don't know where I was even going with that. So, but yeah, so it's just been such a weird mind shift, that I can eat food and I can eat this volume of food that I don't have to feel guilty that I had 2 different bowls of rice last night, or 2 different meals I had 3 bowls of rice I had rice with the mango salsa. I had the rosemary and bake that had rice and sweet potatoes. And then I had the rice and mustard. I had 3 bowls of rice last night, which is, I think that's a record. And I just made sure that I didn't eat anything that was really high calorie dense, with real high calorie density. The sauces that we put in there were probably the worst part, or the worst offender of the calorie density, but the food as a whole was very low in calories. And I guess, like I was saying, we evolved in this world we live in a world of excess, but we evolved from a world of scarcity. And it's trying to find that happy medium where you can eat foods that are low calorie so you could eat high volume. Because if we were in nature, if we came across a tree that had fruit on it or a field that had vegetables in it, we would eat until we couldn't eat anymore, because we wouldn't know when our next meal was coming. And that is still our mindset. We still have this starvation mindset that, I have to, how many times have you guys pre-eaten where you've been like, I'm not hungry, but I should eat because I'm not going to be around food for 2 hours, and I'm going to get hungry and I'm going to have a bad day because I'm hungry. And that is, I think, an instinctual thing with us, is that we choose to pre-eat, we choose to eat, but it's more that our bodies are designed to eat anything that's available to us or around us. We talked a lot last night about removing the temptations, living in a clean environment, and how important it is to be able to get rid of the junk food so you don't ever have to have the argument. If there's something in your pantry that is an off-limits food, then you're better off to get rid of it than to have it in your pantry taunting you every single day. And you may feel like you are winning when you walk by that pantry and you don't give into that temptation, and you allow yourself to have that victory that day. But you have 7 days of victory, and then on the 8th day you failed. Were those 7 days of victory actually a victory? Like in the end, you failed and you gave in and you ate that junk food that was in your pantry. And so that was something we talked about, is, having that clean environment. When we went out to eat this past weekend, it was a location that was 6 hours away from home, and it wouldn't, it wouldn't be something that we would say, oh, let's go back to that place this weekend, because it's not feasible for us to do that. And we didn't bring any food back into our house from there. And so it's really important to have that clean environment. Christy says that you're really working on your mindset that hunger is just a signal and you don't have to feed it every time, but you're getting better and better at it. Yeah. And for me, I'm feeling like I am more apt to be okay with giving into that hunger and just eating broccoli, and I said this early on when I was streaming, that if you truly are hungry, if it's really hunger that you have and not just a craving for something, then you would sit down and you would eat a bowl of carrots, because somebody who is starving would sit down and eat a bowl of carrots if that's the food that was available to them. But a lot of times we end up giving into our cravings. And these companies know that they are not trying to feed hungry people. They are trying to feed people who are craving things, or they want you to crave their food. Carrie says it takes a lot of effort and to exert that willpower day after day. It does. And Carrie deals with it more than I deal with it, because she's at home and our kids are eating a healthier diet than they used to eat, but they still have things that are off limits to us. And she's handling those foods every day. I know, it's so simple to get some food on your finger and just lick it off your finger and then realize that, oh wait, that had sugar in it, or that had salt in it, or that was not something I was supposed to eat. And so it does make it hard to get through that day to day. But it's also, like I kind of ask at the beginning of the shows, is what things are you going to put in place that makes staying on your diet easier than the alternative? And having some healthier snacks like the fruit around, or having just rice available to eat or broccoli available to eat. When you do have to be around those other foods, you have to start figuring out a way to train your brain to go for the broccoli and the rice and the potatoes, and not going for the junk food. And then Stanley Frum says the longer he eats cleaner, the easier it gets. It does. And I always, for the past 9 months, where I've kind of been going back and forth, and especially since the beginning of this year, I have really noticed that when I'm eating on plan and as I'm supposed to, I really am the happiest with my diet. And something else that we talked about a little bit on the broadcast last night about the meal, because I kind of, they asked me if I, had cheat days or had, slipped on the diet, and I brought up that we went out to that restaurant. But one of the things that I wanted to get across on that, and I want to express here too, is that I don't regret us stopping and eating that meal on our way home, because we took the time to find a restaurant that was mostly plant-based. It was a vegan restaurant, and it was every pound that I gained from eating that food was worth it to have the experience that we had with our children that day, because it is very rare that we go to a restaurant and everything on the menu is something they can order. And they were very excited about that. There were things on the menu that they wouldn't consider ordering, and there were ingredients in the dishes that they ordered that they would maybe have chosen not to have if they got to choose. But they got to pick out food off of a menu that wasn't us stopping at Burger King like we did on the way down for them, and have a good, healthy meal. And we got to, as tired as we all were from the traveling, we got to sit down and we got to have an enjoyable restaurant experience. And that, like I said, was worth any bit of the temporary gain that I'm going to have from eating that food. And overall, that was worth it. And then also what kind of got brought up too is that it's really difficult when you have to sit here and say, I have to sit, say that I slipped up, but I slipped up because I had tofu eggs and tempeh on a biscuit with spinach and a cashew hollandaise sauce. Like, it was not like it was a bunch of stuff that is awful for you. Like, anything that I would say that I've slipped up with on my diet, I would laugh at compared to any of the other diets that I've ever been on, because and even like the foods I'm getting rid of, like the nut butter, like it's extremely healthy not extremely, but it's nut butter itself. There's nothing inherently unhealthy about it. But when you're trying to lose weight, it makes losing weight difficult, because it takes you from that 100-calorie surplus, or that deficit that you might have been in, to 100-calorie surplus, and your body is going to absorb a lot of nutrients from that nut butter because it's so blended. If I had just eaten nuts of the same volume as the nut butter I'd been eating, I wouldn't be absorbing as many calories from it, because it's not as bioavailable. When you blend those foods, it makes them more digestible in your system. And so so that's what makes it difficult to sit here and say that I screwed up or I slipped up and I had something that was extremely healthy, but it wasn't on diet, But with the sodium, and Chef AJ talked that she knows lots of people that the second they have something with sodium, they gain 5 pounds, and I am no different. And again, that's all part of that genetic. There might be somebody that can have sodium and they wouldn't gain much weight at all, but my body starts to retain fluids. I know I didn't eat 5 pounds worth of junk food. I just know that my body reacted to that in that way. So that's kind of some of the things that we talked about that I wanted to kind of bring up, is just how important calorie density is, and not beating yourself up when you make healthy choices that might be outside of what your weight loss program dictates. And also recognizing that there is going to be a somewhat different diet between my weight loss diet and what potentially will be my maintenance diet. And my maintenance diet, when I first started this, or 9 months ago, I had it in my head that, it would be things like, Impossible Nuggets would be on maybe my maintenance diet, or any of these processed vegan foods that have salt, oil, and sugar. And now I'm more looking at having things like avocado and nut butter on, during my maintenance phase. And I've really given up on the idea that I would want to have those other foods, because the food I'm eating is so enjoyable. Like that rice with the mango salsa on it last night was an awesome meal. Aunt Day's Kitchen checking in saying hello. Hello, Aunt Day's Kitchen. You're kind of catching me towards the end here. Anthony's checking in saying hey, or he's saying hey to Aunt Day. Just being focused on my weight loss for the amount of time. That was another thing I talked about on the stream, is that, when I set out to do this, it was to do it for 3 years. And so, I got to figure out the things during that 3 years. It's definitely an odd situation I've put myself in, to be recording this as I'm losing the weight versus being there when I started the channel. Aunt Day's Kitchen says you're playing Don't Spill the Beans with your little boy. Well, that sounds like fun. But I am going to get out of here. I will be live tomorrow, and then we have here in the States, we have 4th of July on Monday. So I don't think that I will be live on Monday. I'm not planning on working on Monday. My wife probably wants me to hang around the house, and I'll probably be on a lawnmower cutting grass at home on Monday or sometime this weekend. So I will be live tomorrow, and then I will be back live on Tuesday the 5th. I think. What happened? I'm going to wait till it says it's back. All I was going to do was say